I spent the last 2 years doing email marketing for e-commerce brands. And during this time period, I've managed to help these brands upgrade their email list into consistent and substantial profit. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how we do email marketing for these e-commerce brands that we work with. This is a full-length email marketing course completely for free. And it's the exact same framework we use to take this e-commerce brand from $3,000 a month to $11,000 a month in email revenue in just 2 months. I'm going to be going through everything, including why email marketing is necessary, building your email list, fixing your deliverability, setting up your email flows, writing your emails, and everything in between so you can decrease your acquisition costs while increasing your backend profit and return on investment. And again, this isn't a normal YouTube video. This is a full course video that explains everything you need to know about email marketing, step by step, so you can watch it and take action immediately. So let's just skip all the fluff and get right into it. Why am I competent to talk about this? For starters, I've been in the e-commerce email marketing space for over 2 years. I've also created systems that generate our brands hundreds of thousands of dollars in automated revenue. Also, all the e-commerce brands that I've worked with attribute over 20% of their revenue to email marketing. And finally, I've also audited countless brands on their email marketing strategy and their performance. So here are some of the results we've helped generate for our e-commerce brands. Before working with us, their email revenue, as you can see, was on a downward spiral at around 6.4% of attribution. Whereas in just the second month of working together, we helped hit their revenue record for the entire year in email, and we got them to $11,200 per month in email revenue. So with that said, in this video, I'm gonna go over number 1, why is it that you need email marketing? Number 2, your software choice. Number 3, your email deliverability. Number 4, how to grow your email list. Number 5, your email flows. Number 6, your email campaigns. And then number 7, your copywriting. So why email marketing? Well, easy. For starters, your ROI. For every dollar you spend on email marketing, your email marketing generates you back an average of $36 in revenue. That means a 36 times jump in return on investment. Also, the biggest e-commerce brands you can think of are generating around 20 to 30% of their revenue alone through email marketing. Also, think about it. Not everyone has social media, but almost everyone you can think of has an email. So there are approximately 4.5 billion active email users worldwide, which brings us to our next point. 99% of users check their emails at least once per day, with most of them checking them upwards of 10 to 20 times per day. Some users have even said that they spend upwards of 9 hours a week or more managing emails. That's more than a full workday. Obviously, with these many users, the sending volume is very large. So 376 billion emails are sent every single day in 2025. Obviously, that's expected to exceed 400 billion by 2027. But what does that have to do with email marketing in specific? Well, 50% of consumers make a purchase from marketing emails at least once a month. That's not the number you thought. And around 23 to 24% make purchases multiple times per month after receiving marketing emails. So you can see the potential that this system has if implemented in your store. But how does it look in relation to your other marketing systems? Well, for starters, paid ads can't be relied on. Well, thanks to the demand that people have for Meta, ad costs just keep going up and up. Every single year, Facebook, Google, and TikTok ads get more expensive. You spend more money just to get the same results, so your profit per sales obviously gets smaller as your cost to acquire a customer grows. Platforms also are very volatile and they can change all the time. One small update in the algorithm without you knowing can make your ads stop performing overnight, even if they were great yesterday. Ads also depend greatly on investment, so you lose traffic when you stop paying. The moment you pause your ads, your sales slow down because there's no compounding effect like with email marketing. And trust me when I say this, ad fatigue is real. People do get bored of seeing the same ad over and over and over again, even if it's working for other people. That means you constantly need to create new videos and images to keep your results stable, so new creatives. And if you're depending so much on ads, and if you depend too much on ads, you depend too much on one platform and you're putting all your chips on the same stock. So if your whole business relies on Meta or Google, one ban, one glitch, or one policy change can wipe out your sales instantly if you don't have a backend to keep retaining your customers. And well, we all know that tracking isn't as accurate anymore. Since iOS 14 and the new privacy rules that are being enforced in Europe and soon in America, you can't see where your sales are coming from. So that makes optimizing ads much harder. And overall, in the long term, it just hurts your cash flow. So because you have to pay for ads up front, but you don't get the sales money back right away in that exact moment. So this just make managing your business budgets very, very stressful and difficult. And finally, this is just a race to the bottom because you'll end up competing on discounts with other brands. Because when everyone runs the same type of ads, brands start lowering prices to stand out. In the long run, this just kills profits and is cheapening the brand. So with this said, we're going to be moving on to step 2, your software choice. This is very important because there's only really one ESP you should be using. So if you're running an e-commerce brand and with countless options available, your best, your only, and the prime choice is Klaviyo. It's the best because of what it offers. So easy integration, email deliverability, campaign segmentation, personalization, advanced email flows, and much more. It's really the software we use for all of our clients. Trust me when I say this, I've used countless ESPs. Really, the only choice for DTC e-commerce brands is Klaviyo. So this could be pretty overwhelming, but setting up Klaviyo is very easy and it's very simple. Just install the Klaviyo app, create your account with your business email, so info at your store, and turn on app embed in your online store, so Shopify. Also, sneaky tip, I do recommend you double check these two. So email attribution, make sure it's 5 days open and click maximum, not more than that, because then the attribution just grows too much. Add a viewed product tracking to your site. You also need to sync your Shopify data because if not, it won't capture the accurate customer information and you won't be able to touch on all these touch points before a customer loses a purchase. Turn on your single opt-in, turn on your anonymous tracking, set up a branded sending domain. So like I said, info at your store domain, and turn off smart sending. Now we're moving on to what looks like a very complicated and technical part, but it's really not that hard. Your email deliverability. So when I try to explain it to these brand owners, I like to say that email deliverability is basically your credit score for sending emails. It's basically your ability to get emails into your customers' inboxes without landing in spam. If your reputation is bad because people don't open or don't click your emails, then you're invisible. That's why it doesn't matter if you have the best design, copy, and offer, but nobody opens your email. Like it just doesn't matter. So when we talk about improving your email deliverability, it means that we're trying to get as many emails as possible to land in the inbox, in your primary inbox, and as few as possible to bounce and land in the spam or the promotions tab. I'm sure you get it by now, but why is deliverability important? Well, it's literally the foundation of your whole email marketing strategy. So before you start, if you don't have a hot domain, fixing your deliverability should be your number one priority. Because if you don't fix it, you will never succeed and you'll never get anywhere with your email marketing. And well, I know what you're thinking. This sounds super boring. You're right. It's super boring. And I'm sure you feel that way because of the dry basics of the topic. It's very technical. Like I said, it's very boring. Most brands skip it because of this, and then they end up just backtracking and having to do it anyway. So you just prioritize it and do it as early as you can. Because it's the first step and because of its nature, it's literally a one-time setup. You fix it, set it up once, and then you don't have to worry about it ever if you're sending your emails correctly. So with that being said, I'm going to show you some secrets that will put you in the inbox instantly. And this is a secret if you reach this point in the video, especially one huge trick at the end of this document. So to visualize this, I'm going to plant you 2 examples. So brand number 1, they spend weeks, even months perfecting their email flows and tests and all fancy campaigns, email designs, pop-ups, and all that. But they ignore their email deliverability and their effort literally goes to the trash. It goes to the toilet. Why? Because their deliverability sucks and their emails are ending in spam. Now, brand number 2, but they do the same thing. Perfecting their designs, they perfect their flows, perfect their campaigns, they're very fancy with it as well, but they fix their deliverability before any of all this fancy stuff. Their emails land in the inbox, their effort in the long run pays off, and customers actually see their emails. Obviously, green and red, we know which we want to be, right? So continuing off of that, there's 3 main buckets of deliverability. So they sound super complex, but they are very simple. Just stick with me and write it out. So number 1 is your technical authentication, your SPF, DKIM, and DMARC. This is for Google and all the other inbox providers so they know you're a legitimate sender. Then comes in what you actually have to do. Your reputation management. This is continuous. Your domain health, your warm-up, your consistent sending. This builds trust for you and for your inbox providers. And finally, your engagement optimization. So segmentation, your content, and your cadence, which sustains your reputation. You need to maintain this in order to never land in the spam folder, even if you did all your technical authentication well. So number 1, your technical authentication. I know these are super complex words, but You set it up once and you'll never have to worry about it ever again. So starting with your SPF, your sender policy framework. This tells inboxes which servers are allowed to send on your behalf. In this case, Klaviyo, right? So number one, you list your mail servers. Identify all the servers and services that send emails on behalf of your domain. Example given, like your own SMTP server, your email service provider like Gmail or Office 365, or your third-party email, which is with your third-party emailers, which is your Klaviyo, your MailerLite, your MailChimp, whatever you want to use. Then you're going to create your SPF record. So use the SPF syntax to create your record. Start with v equals SPF1, then add your servers. Finally, for SPF, you need to publish your SPF record. So log into your DNS management console in your domain provider, add a new text record, TXT record, however you want to call it, with the value being your SPF string that we created before. And then save your changes and wait for them to propagate. May take around 48 hours. Usually it takes much less for me, but you'll never know, right? Then we're going to be moving into your DKIM, your domain keys identified mail. So this signs each outgoing email with a digital signature linked to your domain and ensures that your email hasn't been tampered with in any way, right? In transit. So this is done inside Klaviyo. You go to settings, you go to domains, you add a custom sending domain, copy the two CNAMEs into your DNS, your Cloudflare, GoDaddy, etc. And then you check it in Gmail by opening any sent email, clicking more, and then show original, and then look for DKIM pass. This is very important that you test it, because if you just set it up and you forget it and you get it wrong, it's going to be like you never did it. So next is DMARC, your domain-based message authentication, reporting, and confirmant. This protects you from spoofing and phishing. So this is the text record that I recommend. I'm not going to say it. You can read, you can write it down. You can tighten it later once your domain is warm and you're sending regularly. And then layer 2 is what I previously mentioned, which is your domain reputation or your quote-unquote credit score. Once your domain is clean, you're set it up, job's not done. So you need to develop your invisible credit score with your inbox providers, and it's called your domain reputation. And it's wholly influenced by your open rate, your click rate, your reply rate, your spam complaints, unsubscribes, and bounce rates, your sending consistency, and the quality of your list, if people are actually opening regularly and engaging with your emails, and how often you email unengaged profiles. It's normal. It happens. You need to re-engage profiles sometimes. But if it's regularly, like very, very consistently, it doesn't do any help for your credit score. And obviously, when your domain reputation is good, Gmail lets you into the inboxes. When it's poor, you go straight to spam. Even engaged subscribers who liked you, who clicked your emails, they'll stop seeing you. So there are a few tools to check your domain reputation. I recommend the following. So Google Postmaster Tools is Google's own dedicated tool for tracking Gmail specific deliverability, only your Gmail profiles. So to set it up, go to that exact link and then click on the red plus in the bottom right corner. Enter your domain, like adidas.com. You don't have to enter the email, just the domain, and then add a DNS record, the one they gave you, and click verify. So when this is done, you can measure multiple metrics, but you should focus on these 4. So spam rate, aim for less than 0.3%, your IP reputation, your domain reputation, and finally your authentication. And Glock Apps is another software you can use for testing your sender reputation. This, however, is a third-party testing tool. It helps you with getting insights on your deliverability per your ISP, while also giving you a list of blacklists you're on and seeing how spam folders basically see your emails. So you log into Glock Apps, then you click on Start Spam Test, then start a manual test, select all the spam filters and then all email providers, click Create, download that send list, upload it to your Klaviyo account, and create a campaign targeting this exact list. Like, this is a list of profiles that you send to and test on, and then you copy the ID string and add it to a test block in your campaign, send a campaign, and then view your report. Finally, your engagement and your warm-up. This is very important and actually what most brands get wrong. So reputation only grows when you send smartly and not from 0 to 50,000 emails in just a day. So if you go from 0 to, like I said, 50,000 emails, 100,000 emails overnight, Gmail panics and automatically places you in your spam folder. So if you know about ads, you need to ramp up your send volume in the same way you would ramp up your Facebook pixel. And basically, this is a very simple example of how I would go about warming up a list. Keep in mind, you need to be sending high quality emails and people need to be opening your emails, because it doesn't matter if you keep ramping up your sending if people don't open, don't click, or don't engage with your email. Once the entire list is warm, you need to be maintaining this consistency. So sending about 1 to 2 campaigns per week minimum. Never go 14 or more days without sending, so 2 weeks, and never blast the entire list out of the cold. Always have a 160 or 30-day engaged list that you send to regularly. And here are some bonus deliverability tips I like to give. So number 1, avoid spam words in your subject line. This is one of the most important tips I think I'll ever give, because if you include spam words in your subject line, Gmail or inbox providers automatically flag you as a scammer. Reduce emoji usage, at most 1 per subject line, and never all your emails, don't send all your emails with emojis. Never add all caps text the entire subject line. Keep them short, never entire paragraph. Add alt text to all your pictures inside the email. Always less than 12 links per email, and run everything through mailmeteor.com/spam checker for 100% coverage if you want to be 100% sure. So if unfortunately you're in spam hell and you need to recover your reputation, this is the reputation recovery plan I would recommend. Send to a very tight 14-day engaged segment for 4 to 6 campaigns. And only once this open rate hits 45 to 50% regularly, then you expand the time interval to 30 and then 60-day engaged. Keep your number of sends very, very small and focus on your re-engagement. Run the Glock app test that I mentioned weekly. Suppress every single unengaged subscriber that's unengaged for more than 180 days or 6 months. And don't touch non-openers until 60% regular average open rates stabilize. And once Gmail trusts you again, so when you're green in Postmaster, you can expand your list safely. And these are the metrics that I would aim for, and these are the metrics that Klaviyo actually tells you to aim for. 50 to 60% is good. For click rate, 1 to 3%. For spam rate, less than 0.1%. Klaviyo actually says less than 1%, but I would recommend less than 0.1%. Hard bounce, less than 1%. Inbox placement 75 to 85% or more. I would recommend more. And then your frequency 2 to 3 times a week to maintain the list warm. Quick break here to tell you that if you want all of this process handled from 0 to 100 for your e-commerce brand, so you don't spend any time or brain power working on it, check the first link in the description down below to book a free call with me. I'll audit your store for free, and I'll tell you how you can increase your email revenue immediately with actionable tips. Looking forward to chatting with you. Now let's get back into the video. Finally, we ended with that horrible chapter of deliverability, and now we're going to move on to step 4, which is your list growth and your pop-ups. So, time to grow your list. So there are 3 main ways someone can join your email list legally. Number 1, your embedded forms, which are your landing pages and the footer at the end of your website. Number 2, your pop-ups, which is the most common and the most effective. And number 3, your checkout opt-in, which is when someone pays for an item and they want to see updates or marketing messages, they can opt in to email marketing, right? So embedded forms, this is the most common sign-up form. This doesn't mean that it's the most effective. This is the one that every single store has. Not every store has a pop-up, every store has an embedded form. Usually you find it embedded at the end of every single page at the website. Although it's not the best tool, like I said, you still need to have it in your pages just in case someone reaches the end and sees the sign up to the newsletter. So pop-ups, I love pop-ups. There are a few different style of pop-ups that you can run. These are your full screen, your partial screen, your quiz, your promotional, and your spin a wheel. This is an example of a full screen pop-up, which I really, really like, and I'm sure converts like crazy, which is by Finn, a pet supplement brand. Then there's your partial screen pop-up, which is the same as the full screen, but it just doesn't take the entire screen and you can see the store behind it. And finally, your quiz pop-up, which is the same that Finn has. So obviously you can tell Finn has both. Yes, you can combine them. In some cases, they can be combined. So Finn has a full screen quiz pop-up. And finally, your spin the wheel, which is one of the most common, but it also looks very cheap and can cheapen the image people have of your brand. And straight to the point promotional. Every single pop-up could be promotional, but this one's straight to the point and has only one step. Now, moving on to the offer of your pop-up. So this is the most important part of every single pop-up you develop and every single pop-up you have. You need something to give people in exchange for their email address, which is, permission to email them. I would recommend you start with one or two of these and then you test and see which one works best. So X amount of dollars off, a mystery gift, a buy one, get one free, buy one, get one 25% off, something like that. Your free shipping and your X% off. Order value exceeds $100, then you should have an X amount of dollars off. If your AOV doesn't exceed $100, you should have an X% off. So my recommended setup for a desktop pop-up is your full screen with a micro yes or a question, a micro commitment in which people need to commit to the pop-up, commit to the offer, and therefore they are more likely to complete it. And you place the offer explicitly first, different triggers based on a device. But always keep in mind that at the end of the day, you just want to make it very, very, very easy to say yes. Now moving on to your triggers and to what makes your pop-up pop up. So you should have the same pop-up essentially design, but split by device type. So desktop and mobile. Usually mobile makes up like more than 95% of all your email signups, but it depends by brand. However, on desktop, you can use a exit intent trigger if your data is synced with Shopify correctly. What this does is that your pop-up gets triggered when people are about to leave your website. This way, you can let them spark interest in your brand and your pop-up won't show too quickly, which interrupts the customer journey. And well, for mobile devices, I recommend 60% scroll of the page or 25, 50, 75, or 90% of your average session time and see what performs best. If you don't want to do your research for your average session time, I would recommend around 5 to 10 seconds. Test both of those triggers and then see which one wins. Here are the top 5 mistakes to avoid with your pop-up. So mistake number 1 is very obvious, and it's having a bad offer. Because if you want people to subscribe, you need to have a compelling incentive in exchange for that email address. And you can ask yourself inwardly, what would make people want to join my newsletter? What would make me want to join this newsletter? Please don't give free shipping like everyone else does. Try to be different, try to stand out, try to have a creative offer. And anything less than 15% just won't cut it. And this is an example of what I mentioned earlier. So if your AOV is $200, you can have either a 10% off or a $20 off. The perceived value of $20 off is more, so people naturally will drift to $20 more. But obviously, like with everything, you need rigorous testing. Mistake number 2 is using the words sign up or subscribe, very cliche and very direct. People feel like they're being sold to, so they won't have a natural resistance to it. People don't want to subscribe or sign up to things. So please don't use these words in your headline or your CTA button. Use benefit-oriented CTAs like you should be using in your email. So instead of sign up now, subscribe, use get your $20 off now or claim your $20 off. Mistake number 3 is that your form loads too slow, whether it be because of images or anything heavy inside the form. So I always recommend if you're using an image in your desktop, make sure to resize it to 600 pixels of width and compress it with TinyPNG or compressor.io. Mistake number 4 is asking for too many things. So think about it. If they ask for your email, your name, your last name, your pet's birthday, your SMS, people are naturally going to have a resistance to it. And never ask for more than 2 fields at once. At best, I would recommend asking firstly for name and email, and then in the next step, asking for SMS and not more than that. And your final mistake is that your form is too small. Make your form stand out, make it pop, and make it grab their attention. And with what I said on these mistakes, here are your top 5 A/B tests to consider running for your pop-up. So test your partial screen versus full page pop-up. So either you see the website behind it or you don't. Also test your offer. With all these kinds of different offers, you can use these examples. Test your headline copy. Like I said, never subscribe, never sign up. That goes in line with also your CTA button copy. And also, besides your CTA button copy, your opting out copy. So the button that people choose to exit the form. And finally, in desktop only, image versus no image. Sometimes image performs better, sometimes image doesn't. So you need to really be clear on this because it hurts conversions one way or the other. Step number 5, which is essentially one of the most important ones, is your email flow. So this part is very important that you get and you understand. So I'm sure you already have an idea, but why are email flows important? Well, they're basically your 24/7 sales team. They're active every single hour or every single day. You'd be surprised on the amount of brands that I've seen that don't have any emails flow set up, or at least not the important ones. And they're losing on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Literally. Oh, I already have flows. Well, that's what most people say. That's the idea that they have. And maybe you have your base email flows, like your welcome flow, your checkout abandon flow, your post-purchase, and some other one you invented. But if your welcome flow isn't 6 or more emails, you're losing conversions. If you don't have a cart and checkout abandon flow, you're losing conversions. If your abandoned cart and checkout flow is only 1 email long, you're losing conversions. If you don't have a win-back flow, you're losing conversions. I'm sure you get what I'm saying. And here's the real kicker. I'm sure the designs and the copy of your email flows haven't been updated in years or months since you created them. And if they were updated based on a feeling, on a hunch, then you did it wrong. So for those that don't know what I'm talking about, what are email flows? Email flows or automations are a series of emails that are sent to a recipient after they complete a specific action, which we call a trigger. These are different from campaigns because a campaign you manually send on a day and time to the entire list, whereas email flows are constantly working 24/7 based on the triggers that you already established. So why use flows? Obviously simple, more money and less work. Flows also contribute to the customer experience via personalization and different touch points. So different customers at different parts of your customer journey need different information. And the majority of the work for these flows comes in creating them and designing them first. Then it's just optimization. So there are other flows, obviously, but they aren't as important as these 3. However, they are still necessary, so we'll eventually be covering them in depth. Number 1, your welcome flow. So your welcome flow is the flow that triggers exactly after someone completes your pop-up, someone submits their information. So this flow converts new cold traffic leads and makes them first-time buyers, hopefully. It can generate up to 10% of your total store's revenue when done exactly right. So without this welcome flow that doesn't warm up subscribers as soon as they join your list, the rest of the flows don't really matter. And if you're spending money on paid advertising, a lot of money, by the way, you might as well take advantage of it and have a great welcome flow that will help you drive your cost to acquire a customer down, which in turn allow you to reinvest that saved money into even more ads. So as you can see, it's a positive feedback loop. So with this welcome flow, you can solve all of your prospects' objection. Remember when I said 6 to 8 emails? This is exactly what we do in the welcome flow. We tackle their objections and make them loyal fans that buy over and over again. This is how a welcome flow structure could look like. As you can see, after someone has subscribed to a list, we give them the incentive. It needs to be very clear, very obvious in the first part of the email, what we call the hero picture. Then we're going to have email number 2, which is a story from the founder, how they founded the brand, or something that touches on the personal side of the brand. I recommend to use a plain text style email. Email number 3 is to answer the objections and show the guarantees that your brand has. If there is more than one important objection, you can have 2 of these emails or 3 of these emails. Now, with more emails, naturally your conversions may go down, but you can have 1 to 2 objection handling emails if one is price and one is quality, for example. Then you're going to have an us versus them email, what makes you different from competitors. Then you're going to have a social proof email, which is what people say about your brand. Now, this is when the prospect is already pretty warm. And finally, which is an incentive last call or last chance, which is reminding them that they still have an incentive that they can use with all of these objection handling and all these testimonials in mind. Now, if you're using Klaviyo, like I told you, use these exact filters. Don't change anything. It will obviously exclude everyone who bounced the email first, which helps you with your deliverability. And it excludes people who already joined the list through checkout, which also prevents you having an unprofessional image in the people who checked out. So an example of a good, clean email number 1, you can use the same structure. Very clean headline, subheadline, CTA, and then an image. You see you have the code and you have a CTA that takes you directly to use the code. This is very important because people usually go to the first email only to pick up the code and go to the store. You can also see the included testimonials because people usually want to know a little bit more about your brand, but these work great. Now on to email number 2, which is basically a story from the founder in a plain text style. So this is because people love stories. People love connecting with brands and they want to learn the why behind your brand. And usually this brand came to live because you had the same problems. The founder had the same problems as your customers do. Don't be afraid to make it long, like a long sales letter, a long sales copy. People, if you write a good email, people love to read it. People love to connect. Your primary and only goal should be to build a relationship with your new subscriber by sharing the founder's personal story and giving them more info on your brand. So when you build trust with your subscriber, they're way more likely to buy. And usually at the end, when they're already warm because they read the entire email, you then add a reminder for the discount that you gave them in the first email. This is a quick example that you can pause and read over. And as you can see is the reminder for the offer that we gave them in the first email, which is what I mentioned. Moving on to your email number 3, which is your objection handling and where you show your guarantee, the guarantees you offer as a brand. So if somebody hasn't purchased by now, if a discount code isn't enough for them, it usually means that they have other objections. And it's best to handle them and target them right now as soon as possible when they're probably most warm. So what needs to be inside this email? Firstly, obviously, you need to remind them of the discount. Then you need to give a guarantee and or a risk reversal, like money back guarantee, free shipping, etc. And finally, you need to show the unique selling propositions of your brand. Email number 3, you see they have a worry-free guarantee that they talk about more in detail in the bottom. And then here you can see you have the code and your 10% off at the very top of the email. Then you have the brand USPs or the unique selling propositions. Moving on to the next email, which is an us versus them or a unique selling proposition specific email. This email is literally the only goal is to differentiate yourself from the other brands that people can buy from. So what you need to have inside this email is number 1, you need to be very clear on your brand USPs. You need to explain what makes you different from your competitors. You need to have social proof. I always recommend having social proof because this also moves your point further. And then you have to remind them of the discount code. Always be attacking and reminding them that they have a discount code. Sometimes people literally just forget. And then here's one of the examples that I love on this type of email. You see you have a very important reminder. It's not in your face, but you have a reminder that you have a discount code. You have a very brief headline because what you really want them to do is to skim this. Then you have your 5 points addressing the competitors versus you. Then you have very simple USPs that people can read quickly. You have a short social proof. And finally, again, you have your reminder. So you remind them again at the top so they can buy quickly if they just forgot. And then at the bottom is when they're warm because they already read through all of this. The next email, which is email number 5, it's your social proof. Building trust is very, very important because if they still haven't bought, you need to show them some kind of social proof or testimonials to let them know that your brand is legit, that people love it, and then your product actually works. So you can get creative, but this can be done by showing customer reviews, before and afters, testimonials, really whatever you want, but get very creative. So what needs to be inside? Obviously, number 1, reminder of the discount. Then you need to have some customer reviews or testimonials. And finally, if you can, have some press mentions, websites, magazines that already mentioned you because they like your product, etc. Email number 6, which in theory should be your last email, is your incentive last call. So because this is the last email and it's an incentive last call, usually plain text works better. Sometimes people literally just don't care enough and all they really need is a last push, which is urgency. This email, the goal is to take them from I have time, I'll just keep thinking about it, to all right, I need to get this discount now or I'll lose it. So what you need to have in the email, besides what I already said about it being a plain text email, it should be sent from the founder and have very direct, very urgent copy. And if you remind them that the discount code is about to expire with a clear deadline, this is the key, to have a clear deadline like 24, 48, 11, 10, 3 hours, you'll see your conversion rate go up. This is an example of what a last call plain text email looks like. You can pause it right now and read it. As you can see, at the very end, you have the click here to claim your discount. Always have your reminder and always be urgent on this specific email. So now that we're done with the structure, here are some welcome flow tips that you can implement. The first tip is resending email number 1. So something I always suggest is resending the first email of your welcome flow with a different subject line, only subject line, to anyone who hasn't opened it after the first 24 hours. And that's because the number 1 email in your welcome flow is your star performer. It sets the stage and it captures the interest. You have to maximize its visibility and the amount of people that see it and open it. Some things happen. Maybe they forget. Maybe they throw their phone away. That's why it's important to resend. And usually that doesn't have as much open rate as the first email, but this 10, 15, or even 20% that you can pick up always helps. Next tip is your key performance indicator. So how do you measure success in your welcome flow? So I assume that you're curious on what results you should be aiming for inside your brand, and I'm going to break it down for you. So the KPIs for email number 1 should be an open rate of 60% or higher, because people are in your brand or in your site. They are waiting for this email. Click-through rate should be 12% or higher, because they're very warm. They just completed your pop-up and they want this incentive. And your place order rate should be around 10% to 5% or higher. All the other emails that follow the email number 1 should be 30% or higher for open rate. This usually follows email after email. Your click-through rate should be 2% or higher, and your place order rate should be 0.5% or higher. So here are more quick tips. A couple of things that you can test to make sure your welcome flow performs even better. So test formats, design versus plain text. Test the shorter versus longer time delays. Test the landing page of your website. So have it be a home page or a collection page or a product page. And test placing your offer in your subject line or your preview text. Quick break here to tell you that if you want all of this process handled from 0 to 100 for your e-commerce brand, so you don't spend any time or brain power working on it, check the first link in the description down below to book a free call with me. I'll audit your store for free, and I'll tell you how you can increase your email revenue immediately with actionable tips. Looking forward to chatting with you. Now let's get back into the video. Next flow is a very important one, which is your abandoned cart flow. Again, I'm sure you know why it's important to have this flow, but I'm going to explain it either way. So e-commerce space has evolved, and the old see and buy model, like with Amazon, just no longer works. So shoppers are harder to convert, and most people now require multiple touch points along the customer journey before they trust a brand enough to give them their money. As a result, it's very, very impressive, but 70%, over 70% of online shopping carts are abandoned. People place it in the cart and they leave without a purchase. So imagine how much revenue you're missing out on if you don't have an abandoned cart flow in place. And even further, if you're running paid ads to drive traffic, this hurts even more. Since you've already paid good money to bring these people to your site, if you want to stay profitable and reinvesting money into ads, you can't afford to lose 70% of all the carts that are abandoned. Since you've already paid good money to bring these people to your site, if you want to stay profitable, you can't afford to lose 70% of them. So there are a ton of reasons why someone might have abandoned their cart. Maybe they got distracted. Maybe they had an objection. Maybe they wanted to see if your competition had better products or better prices. Maybe they had issues with the shipping or the cost. And maybe they found someone cheaper at the end of the day. And this flow solves all of these problems with a simple system that I'm about to show you. So this is the flow structure for the abandoned cart flow. Number 1 is your simple cart reminder, which is triggered after 30 minutes to 2 hours after someone has abandoned their cart without a purchase. Email number 2, which goes out after 12 to 24 hours, is tackling the guarantees and the risk reversal. So what are the main objections people may have for your brand? After this, email number 3 goes out a day or 24 hours after email number 2, and this gives them a discount to recover this purchase and also provides with USPs. USPs being unique selling propositions for your brand. Email number 4 goes out a day or 24 hours after email number 3, and it provides them with reviews, testimonials, or case studies, and the discount code reminder. Finally, email number 5, which goes out a day after the previous email, is an incentive last call in plain text like the one in the welcome flow. So like with the welcome flow, these are important flow filters you need to include in the flow built inside Klaviyo. So email number 1 is a simple reminder. One of the most common reasons on why someone didn't finish checking out or buying your product is that they got distracted. They saw a notification in Instagram, they saw TikTok, and they left. I'm sure you know, attention spans are low. It's very easy to get distracted, move on to the next thing, and that's why the first email should be a short, concise reminder about what they're about to buy. No discounts, no urgency, just a simple reminder. It should have a strong CTA, and it should have a dynamic product block with the product they left behind. This is a very nice example. Most brands literally just follow this structure. Headline, subheadline, dynamic product section, complete my order, and some guarantees. Email number 2, which is the guarantees and the risk reversals. So if a simple reminder didn't work, then you can bet there's something else in your prospect's mind. So you need to tackle the fears and let the prospect know that there is no risk if they buy the product. About your guarantees and reverse any risk there is in their mind. And once that's done, I promise you they won't be afraid to buy. So your goal for this should be to give them the reassurance they need to move forward. The content inside should be emphasizing your risk reversals, so money back guarantees, free returns, etc. It should show the items they left behind using also the dynamic product block, and it should also add a very strong CTA. Email number 3, which is your discount and your unique selling proposition. So the next step is solving the pricing objection and any other objection that someone might have by showing your brand/products, solve them. So obviously, solving the pricing objection is very easy. You just give them a discount. And the other objections could be more specific about the quality of your product, your ingredients, whether it's eco-friendly or whatever someone might be worried about. Obviously, if you know your customer, you know what these are. So your goal with this email is to get rid of the pricing objection while also highlighting your brand's unique selling proposition, why it's the best brand out there, and solving objections your subscribers might be facing. This is a great example of an email. As you can see, you have a very clear headline, subheadline, a strong CTA, and details about the product that help solve the objections. Also, at the end, you see that because someone is already pretty warm, they have a buy one, get one offer, which is the reminder and the incentive. After this, which is email number 4, it's the reviews and the reminder of the incentive that you just gave them in the previous email. So, like with everything, lack of trust is another huge and very common objection. That's why we have an entire email in the flow dedicated to showing them your brand is legit and that your product works just like it's described. And this is something that not every brand does, but remember to spend some extra time selecting the right and the best reviews. Don't show random reviews that talk about unnecessary stuff. Your goal with this email is to build trust and remove hesitation by showing real customer reviews so that when people see others have had a great experience, it gives them the confidence to complete their purchase. So the content inside should be focusing your messaging on building confidence and addressing potential concerns. You need to show the items they left behind, again, using a dynamic product block, and need to showcase customer reviews that demonstrate product value and address the common concerns for not buying said product. Here's a great example for email number 4. You see with the headline, which is what we just talked about, our pacifiers have earned the trust of moms worldwide. And then you have a few testimonials, and finally, an incentive reminder to complete the purchase because you already warm from the reviews you already read. Like with the previous emails, email number 5 or the last email is an incentive last call. And since we already covered every single objection that they might have, it's time for the last missing piece, which is urgency. You want to let people know that it's now or never. If they don't buy right now, they're going to miss out. And if you're feeling creative, you can have a special 24-hour limited time offer specifically for these people that have arrived in the last email. So the content inside should be personal plain text message from the founder, like with the previous emails. It should offer a final chance to use a discount on their first purchase. This is for people that haven't purchased from you before. And you need to create a unique coupon code valid for only 24 hours for this specific person, which is a dynamic coupon code. Finally, in a friendly way, offer help or answer any last minute questions. Here's an email number 5, an example. You can pause it right now and read it if you want, but basically this offers help firstly, so it establishes a rapport. Then it reminds them of a limited time incentive. It includes a hyperlink back to their cart with said incentive applied. And in the PS, you apply very important urgency for them to complete the purchase now so that they don't think they have time to think about it in the future. Now we're down to our last important flow, which is the post-purchase flow. So why is the post-purchase flow so important? For starters, it's characteristic to email marketing. It goes in line with everything that we've been talking about. So let's face it, acquiring customers is getting more expensive day by day thanks to Meta. CPAs are rising, competition is growing inside the e-commerce, and margins are tighter than ever. And this is why many brands struggle to make a profit on their first sale. They offer so much discount that they barely break even on their first sale. And their real profit often comes from the repeat customers or superfans, which means that retaining customers is much easier than acquiring new ones. But how? Well, it's your best opportunity to eliminate buyer's remorse, help the customers adopt the product that you just sold them, and make it more likely for them to buy over and over again. This is the flow structure of what a post-purchase flow could look like. Email number 1 is a thank you, a personal message from the founder thanking them from the purchase. Then you wait 2 days and you ask for them to engage with you on social media. This also helps increase your brand presence online, and it also helps the community feel more connected. Then you wait 2 more days and you show them how to get the most out of their product. So email number 1 is the thank you from the founder. Let me be clear. This is not an order confirmation email. This is a separate one that is meant to congratulate people on their purchase and their commitment. It's also a way to personally thank them for their purchase because buyer's remorse shows up right away. So we want to hype them up and say that their purchase matters to us and to them. So instead of sending a design-based email that looks copy-pasted and like an ad, you send a personal thank you email from the founder to make it feel more personal. Bonus points if you use the information you have on them. So the product they purchased in a dynamic tag or their first name. Quick tip for this is to add a 3 to 5 minute delay before sending this email so you avoid sending the order confirmation email and the thank you email at the same time. Here's an example on what I mentioned about the dynamic tag of their first name. You can pause it and read it. And also something that you can add is to upsell them, which is to continue shopping. Something that other brands like to do is to add sort of copy and wording that says you still have time to add items to your order before we ship it out. Email number 2 is to follow us on social media. So this email is basically where you invite your customer to follow you on your main social media channel. This helps extend the engagement beyond just email. It builds trust through social proof because they see other people in your social media, and it keeps your brand top of mind. It also creates more opportunities for future conversions by adding another touch point, which is in social media. Because at some point, whether you like it or not, some people will stop opening your emails. But if they already follow you on socials, you can keep interacting with them. So the content inside should be to invite them to follow your main social media channel, and you can share what they'll get. Updates, event, community, etc. And even now with the Instagram channels that you can have people inside. So here's an example of the email that I was just talking about. You can see social media posts and you can see the CTA directly linked to the social media. Email number 3 is a quick guide on how to get the most out of the product they just bought. So your goal should be to equip the customer with helpful information so that they can have the best possible experience with the product. Getting them to actually use the product is one of the most effective ways to drive retention, and as a bonus, future good testimonials and case studies. So the content inside should be clear and actionable product tips. It should show them how to use the product, and it should recommend more products so you get a second order in the future. Here's a quick example. So it gives you steps and clear instructions on how to use the product effectively, and it also adds a shop now button for an upsell. An extra email number 4 is to repeat purchase. As for the goal of this email, more than 80% of customers don't return for a second purchase, and most drop off within the first 2 months of their first order. So after they fall out of the buying cycle, it becomes much harder to re-engage them. The goal of this email is to turn first-time buyers into repeat customers before they churn. So converting a first-time buyer into a second-time buyer significantly increases the chances of a third, fourth, or even fifth purchase. A time-sensitive offer with an incentive can help drive that crucial second order before it's too late. and it's worth it either way. The content inside this email should acknowledge their experience and excitement with the product. So we hope you're enjoying your product. Make them feel part of the community. It should introduce a limited time offer, like 15% off. It should set urgency for this offer with a clear deadline, like valid for the next 24 hours. And it should show bestsellers to make it easy for them to buy. So this email is a great example of what I just talked about. It has a 10% discount with a 48-hour deadline, creating strong urgency at the very top of the email. And after, you see the email acknowledging the customer's recent order, which provides personalization. Email number 5 is a last chance plus a check-in. The goal of this email is to provide a personal check-in from the founder to ensure the customer had a great experience with their product, and it offers support if needed while also serving as a final reminder that their limited discount is about to expire. The content inside should be clear. It's a personal check-in from the founder. It should acknowledge the recent purchase. It should offer support if they need it. It should be a direct reminder that their discount is about to expire. And it needs to have a CTA that uses their code and that helps them take advantage of the offer before it's gone. Here's an example of email number 5. It firstly has a personal check-in from the founder. It then acknowledges the customer's recent purchase and reinforces the benefits of said purchase. And it, at the end, has a clear time-sensitive reminder that their 50% discount is expiring in 24 hours. Now that we're done with the email flows, we move on to step 6, which is your email campaigns. So if it's not clear by now why you should be sending email campaigns, it's very simple. It's to make more money. The truth is, your email list has lots of prospects you can turn into first-time buyers and existing customers that you can get to order again and increase their lifetime value, effectively lowering your cost to acquire said customer. And because it's own media, it means you have the full control of every single thing you do with it. Your email list is quite literally your brand's biggest asset, and by sending email campaigns, you're maximizing the value of this asset. So your campaigns shouldn't only sell, they should also educate, they should build relationships with your list, and they should entertain. So how often should you send email campaigns? The first thing I hear from most brands is that I don't want to spam my list. Well, the truth is, sending too few emails is a bigger risk, because what happens when you show up once a week or less is that people forget about your brand, they lose interest and stop engaging, and when you finally show up in their inbox, you feel like a stranger, which is when unsubscribes spike. The bare minimum is 3 to 4 emails a week. You can email less, but it won't get you great results. Anything above 4 times a week also has diminishing returns. So send day and time when you're starting is pretty easy. It's pretty simple. Just go to your Shopify, then identify the top days by sales, and that's it. Now, there are going to be some days that perform better. You need to always be testing rigorously so you know in which direction you should be moving. So with your Shopify, find 3 to 4 days that generate more revenue than the others, and then send your campaigns on these days. Send time could be done similarly. Go through a daily chart, analyze the top hours, and A/B test them. And you can also test morning versus evening, which 8 a.m. versus 7 p.m. Then test the winning variations against afternoon send, like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. As for campaign types, as I said before, your campaign should be more than just constant sell, sell, sell. So here are some of the main types of email campaigns that we like to use. It can be acquisition campaigns. It can be awareness and education campaigns. It can be pure entertainment. It can be retention campaigns, sales/objection handling, or it could be discounts and promotions. Now, discounts and promotions should be the least amount of campaigns you sell, and they should be around 1 to 2 sales per month. As for the content to send out, here are some campaign ideas/angles you can be testing on your list. You need to build out your campaign content calendar. So start each calendar with marking your send days, the days that people most are active in your store. So then after this, you go to Mailjet Marketing Calendar or nationaltoday.com to identify any holidays or international days that you can send an email. Add them first only if they make sense and are contextually appropriate. If you sell training gear, don't send an email out on National Dog Day. After this, go through your flows and see if any specific angles outperform other angles. And if you already have an experienced list, you can go to previous campaigns and do the same. And when you're deciding on quantity, make sure to email your engaged segment at least 3 times a week. And I would recommend having at least one plain text campaign every week or 2 weeks. Now, as for your segmentation rules, you don't want to be hyper specific. You want to go as broad as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't mean blasting your entire email list and getting 20% open rates without a care in the world. Maybe target mostly your 120, 100, or 60-day engaged segment, the one that has the better performance, while mixing in buyers and non-buyers based on the angle. Obviously, do this only if your deliverability is good. You may get a lower click-through rate if you send to an engaged segment that's smaller, but with broader segments, you'll get more net opens, net clicks, and possibly total revenue. Now, this isn't in all the cases. As always, you need to have certain context to know if it's appropriate. And finally, the final step, which is copywriting. So I've seen a very regular and recurring problem, which is the copy problem. And it's that most copy is bland and robotic, especially with AI being so popular and free. Brands just literally go to ChatGPT without any extra information, or go to Claude and say, write a campaign about XYZ, or write a post-purchase flow email. Then they literally copy and paste everything without verifying. Now, I know that's fast and easy. Not all the founders have as much time in their hands, but it's not the best way to do it. Here are some mistakes to avoid with your copy. Number one is overcomplicating the copy. Try to sound savvy, try to sound smart with fancy words. You need to keep in mind that 90% of readers don't scroll past the banner. So keep your message simple, direct, and skimmable. This is very important. Complex phrasing kills attention span because people need to think longer. Something I like to tell copywriters, brand owners, email marketers is to write like you're talking to a fifth grader. Another mistake is cramming too much info into one single campaign. So huge text blocks or dense paragraph lose readers instantly. Break text with white space, bullets, visuals. Each section should have a breathing room, a visual hierarchy that guides the reader through the story of the email instead of overwhelming them with too much words. Mistake number 3 is always writing long emails. That doesn't mean that you can send some plain text emails that are long in some cases. Emails should be 50 or 100 words max. This doesn't mean short on value. It means cutting filler and only keeping what moves emotion or drives a click. Every word should earn its place in the email. Mistake number 4 is irrelevant messaging. So match the message to where the customer is in their exact journey. A new prospect is not a repeat buyer. If someone just made a purchase, don't sell them again. Educate, upsell, or thank them. Mistake number 5, the last mistake, is a boring and dull tone. Avoid generic corporate speak. Your email should feel conversational and brand aligned. Use rhythm, flow, and varied sentence lengths. So has it happened that you're listening to someone give a speech and they have this constant volume and tone and you get bored because they have the same tone during the entire speech? Well, this is basically the same with copy. Great copy reads like a voice. It pulls readers through naturally. Add micro stories or human touches to make your message memorable and stick inside their brain. And something that is not talked about enough is market research for copywriting. You need to know the person you're talking to, the exact person you're talking to. So understand your customer deeply. Know their pain points, know their motivations, know their objections, everything that has to do with your brand and your product. The more specific your understanding of this avatar, the more your copy resonates. Don't guess, observe what your customers already say. So these are the best tools and methods that I recommend. Number 1 is Facebook Ads Library, in which you can study competitor ads and angles that have already been running for weeks, so they are winners. You should also be subscribing to competitors' newsletters. Reverse engineer their sequence and positioning. It's so easy. And pay attention to their flow structure, their subject line types, and their promo timing. And you don't only need to look outwardly. Look inwardly inside your brand reviews. So review mining in Shopify or Amazon. Collect phrases customers use when describing pains or wins about your product or a competitor's product. Their raw words make perfect copy hooks. And finally, very underrated, Reddit and Quora. So find real conversations about your product category and extract the emotions from that. These forums are gold mines for discovering real consumer language, how people talk on their day-to-day. If you use your customer and your consumer language directly in your copy, it's free conversion gold. The most persuasive copy often comes from your customer's mouth and not yours, or their mind and not yours. Also, please document everything you find, have a folder for it, or build a mini swipe file with top performing competitor angles, recurring objections, and desired triggers. This mini swipe file becomes your lifetime copy bank for campaigns, flows, or other marketing messages. Next up is the rule of 1. Very, very important. So every email should have only one core angle, one offer, one idea, one takeaway. People get distracted easily, so keep the message ultra focused on what you're already talking about. Example, your offer, 40% off ends tonight. Only talk about that offer. Your CTA, one timer and a single link. No links to different product pages. No extra sections, just your offer. The simplicity increases clicks and conversions. It's literally the rule of thumb in copy. Multiple CTAs or offers split attention and reduce clarity. The rule of one is why the best performing emails always feel clean, one visual, one core message, one clear next step. Think of it like a billboard. If someone only reads for 2 seconds, they still get the point. So if you want to create depth, sequence it, not stack it. Turn multiple ideas into separate emails instead of cramming them all into one super long email. And well, that's how you create rhythm and build anticipation through your flow or your campaign. So how do you write subject lines and pretext that converts? I would follow these 3 simple rules. Number 1 is to get personal. Use all the available data you have on this person. First name, order number, product name, etc. This will get you real significant personalization. However, you also need to use real emotional personalization. Tie subject lines to identity or behavior. For example, your cart missed you. Rule number 2 is relevance. So tailor content to customer stage. First stage, returning, loyal, super fan. A good example is welcome to the tribe, welcome to the community name for first-time customers, or we saved your favorites for repeat customers or super fans. Finally, rule number 3, subject line is not a summary of what's inside the email. It's your job to hook and not summarize what's inside the email. Tease curiosity so that they want to open the email and then learn the information that's inside. Ask questions, hint benefits, or create tension so that they need to relieve this tension entering your email. This ends tonight is a great example because it's open-ended. They don't know what ends tonight. Even more if they haven't seen an email that referenced this before. So writing copy for e-commerce emails is very structured. You need to think modularly. So every email is a stack of components like a Lego. Number 1 is your hero section. It's actually the most important part of your email. It has your header. It then has your subheader, then a CTA, a hero image, a clean hero image, and it must communicate the offer within the first 3 seconds of opening the email. Then comes your body copy. It expands on the hero section and adds context. Max 2 short lines or a listicle in bullets. Then you would have your product block or product section, which has the product title, a photo, and an optional price if you want to include it. You could also add social proof, which includes reviews, testimonials, and press mentions that we mentioned before. Finally, this is a neat little detail to add, but it's a countdown or reminder. It has an optional urgency element that can really visualize how much time they have left. So general guidelines or rules of thumb, keep design email copy under 100 words because clarity beats creativity every single time. Turn your features into benefits. What it does, not what it has or is. Always write from outcome perspective. Using illustrations instead of text is always going to be better. So charts, icons, and infographics are faster to digest and more skimmable than a text block. And write for scanners or skimmers, not readers. Make every line a hook that takes them to the next part of the email. And obviously, lead visually. The reader's eye should flow from the header to the product, to the body section, and to the CTA naturally. And when you're working on product launch or educational campaigns, map out the modules first before writing the first line of copy. This prevents a creative burnout and ensures every message fits the reader's attention span. I would also recommend using a Google Docs or Figma wireframe to place each module visually, and in this way, every module should stand on its own. If one section were removed, the rest should still make sense visually and copy-wise. Add testimonials below product blocks or between CTAs to act as credibility bridges. And remember, when in doubt, always default to clarity. A design-first email with weak copy will underperform, but a copy-first email with minimal design can still sell. So this is an example of the copy to design process. As for recommendations, you should be specific in your copy briefs, but leave room for design creativity for the graphic designer in charge of designing the email. Consistency will always beat out perfection because weekly cadence drives more ROI than sporadic, amazingly designed emails. I would also recommend creating templates for structure to speed up execution, whereas in the copy or the design stage. And always include emotion words or visual direction beside the copy so the designer knows exactly what you mean. And finally, run a read without visuals test. If the copy alone sells, you've nailed the message perfectly. And finally, to end our course, here are some copywriting frameworks for emails that email marketers regularly use, which is the attention, interest, desire, and action. So the attention catches the eye with the banner or the headline. Then the desire shows a transformation or results on it. Then the interest expands via subheadline or a short story below it. The desire shows transformation or results. And finally, the action literally is the call to action, the CTA. Buy now, shop today, get X benefit now. And as a bonus, use urgency or scarcity language to close the loop inside their head. Next is the PAS, the problem, agitate, solution. So first you identify a problem or a pain. In this example, acne. Then you agitate on this problem by showing emotional cost. It hurts your confidence. Finally, you solve it with your product as the fix, and then you end it with a visual proof or testimonial to finally just put it all together. The final main copywriting framework, it's the problem, promise, proof, and proposal. So the problem is to state the issue very clearly. Then the promise is to guarantee an improvement on said issue. Then the proof is a testimonial or a result that you got by using your product. And finally, the proposal is to make the offer and the call to action to buy your product. The key of the 4 Ps is to keep the flow conversational and easy to scan or skim visually. And some additional frameworks for practical use, which could be the FAB, like features, advantages, benefits, a before after bridge, which is basically a testimonial, the start story solution formula, in which you start with a customer or brand story, you illustrate the challenge, and then you close with your solution. It's excellent for post-purchase or storytelling emails. And finally, the BAB or belief argument benefit, in which you challenge a false belief, something someone has said, support it with logic or proof, and then reveal your offer as the logical next step.
The information in this course genuinely has the power to completely change the growth of your brand for the better. At this point, you really only have 2 options. The first one is trying to implement all this yourself, spending the time, money, and headaches of figuring this out and implementing it yourself. Or the second option, you can get the help from an expert who's helped countless e-commerce brands scale through email marketing with our proven email marketing system. So we can just get this handled fully done for you, from the campaigns, flows, deliverability, and everything else in between. And this way, you don't spend a single minute working on it. If this sounds interesting to you, check the first link in the description to book a free audit call where I'll personally audit the current email marketing of your store for free. Then we can see how we can get this handled for you. This is for you if you want to skip the months of trial and error handling this yourself, and you want a team of experts to do it for you. So if that sounds like you, book a call using the first link in the description and I'll see you there. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it, and don't forget to subscribe for more valuable videos. I'll see you in the next one.